Pawnbroking existed in the ancient Greece and Roman empires. Most contemporary Western law on the subject is derived from the Roman jurisprudence. As the empire spread its culture, pawnbroking went with it. Likewise, in the East, the business model existed in China 300 years ago, no different from today. Through the ages, strictly regulated by imperial or other authorities, in spite of early Catholic Church prohibitions against charging interest on loans, there is some evidence that Franciscans were permitted to begin the practice as an aid to the poor. Pawn brokerage arrived in England with William the Conqueror. In 1338, Edward III pawned his jewels to raise money for his war with France. King Henry V did much the same in 1415. In 1603, an act against the brokers was passed and remained on the statute book until 1872. It was aimed at the many counterfeit brokers in London. This type of broker was evidently regarded as offense. Queen Isabella of Spain pawned her jewelry to finance Christopher Columbus's first voyage to the New World. Crusaders, predominantly in France, brokered their land holding to monasteries and dioceses for funds to supply, outfit, and transport their armies to the Holy Land. Instead of outright repayment, the church reaped a certain amount of crop returns for a certain amount of season, which could additionally be re-exchanged in a type of equity. A pawnbroker can also be a charity. In 1450, Bernabo Manesi, a Franciscan monk, began the Monte di Pieta movement in Perugia, Italy. It provided financial assistance in the form of non-interest loans, secured with pawned items. Instead of interest, the Monte di Pieta urged borrowers to make donations to the church. It spread through Italy, then the other parts of Europe. The first Monte di Pieta organization in Spain was founded in Madrid, and from there, the idea was transferred to New Spain by Pedro Romero de Terreros. The National Monte de Piedad is a charitable institution and a pawnshop whose main office is located just off Zocaldo, or main plaza of Mexico City. It was established between 1774 and 1777 by Pedro Romero de Terreros as a part of the movement to provide interest-free or low-interest loans to the poor. It was recognized as a national charity in 1927 by the Mexican government. Today, it is a fast-growing institution with over 152 branches all over Mexico and with plans to open a branch in every Mexican city.
Why would someone go to a pawnbroker to get a loan?
Pawnbrokers offer the consumer a quick, convenient, and confidential way to borrow money. A short-term cash need can be met with no credit check or legal consequences if the loan is not repaid. Pawnbroking imposes a discipline on the borrower that other lenders do not. Pawn loans do not cause people to overextend credit or go into bankruptcy.
How much should I expect for a loan on my item?
Loan amounts vary according to the value of the item. There is no minimum dollar amount allowed on a pawn transaction, but the maximum amount may be set by state pawn laws. Your loan amount will be determined according to other factors as well, such as demand and condition of the item, Not all pawn stores are the same and price will vary.
How do you determine the value of the item?
Pawn shops base the value of the item on current appraised value, its current condition, and the ability to sell the item. Pawnbrokers use research tools that they have at their disposal to determine an item's value and get you the most money for the item. The appraisal process varies depending on the type of item. For example, jewelry is evaluated differently than a DVD player. All items that pawn shops buy or pawn are tested to ensure that they work properly.
How can I be sure that the merchandise I purchase at a pawn store isn't stolen?
Less than 1/10 of 1% of all pawn merchandise is identified as stolen goods. That's because customers must provide positive identification and a complete description of the merchandise. This information is then regularly transmitted to law enforcement, which dramatically decreases the likelihood that a thief would bring stolen merchandise to a pawn store.
Do most pawn customers lose their merchandise?
On average, about 80% of all pawn loans are repaid. Repeat customers make up a majority of the business. Similar to any other lending or retail establishment, pawnbrokers establish relationships with their customers because they often borrow against the same items repeatedly. Pawnbrokers offer non-recourse loans, looking only to the item being pledged to recover their investment if the borrower chooses not to repay the loan.
Are pawns rates excessive?
No, to provide their service, all lenders must charge rates commensurate with the size and duration of the loan, collateral, risk, and recourse. Pawn transactions are small dollar, short-term loans with no hidden charge.
On January 29, 1973, Presidential Decree Number 114 was passed by Ferdinand E. Marcos, regulating the establishment and operation of pawnshop, whereas pawnshops provide an additional source of credit, especially for small borrowers left unserved by banking and other financial institutions in the country. Whereas there is no specific law in the Philippines that governs pawnshop establishments, particularly providing definite and uniform standards for their operations. Whereas the recommendations contained in a report on the financial system, which have been accepted with modifications by monetary authorities, strongly advocate the enactment of law regulating pawnshops.
On April 30, the BSP approved a new set of rules to govern all pawn shops in the country. According to the BSP, the new rules replace the existing implementing rules and regulations of Presidential Decree Number 114, also known as the Pawnshop Regulation Act, issued in 1973. The new BSP rules are designed to enhance consumer protection and foster confidence in the pawnshop industry by the pawning public.
Villarica Pawnshop was founded in 1954 by Paz R. Villarica. The first pawnshop of Villarica was in 616 P. Paterno Street, Quiapo, Manila. For the past 26 years, people who are in need always resort to Villarica Pawnshop. When Paz R. Villarica passed away in August 23, 1980, her rightful heirs made a decision to make Villarica Pawnshop a proper corporation. Villarica Pawnshop Incorporated was registered in the Securities and Exchange Commission on June 5, 1981. Time passed by, Villarica Pawnshop Incorporated decided to expand in Manila to increase pawning transactions. After a while, Villarica opened new pawn shops in Bulacan, Laguna, Cavite, and other places in Luzon. As of now, Villarica has 600 pawn shops in the whole Philippines.
Go to the nearest Villarica pawn shop. Bring one valid ID and answer the customer information sheet while your item is being appraised by our staff. After observing your item, the staff will let you know the value of your loan. Just sign and fill the pawn ticket for proper documentation, and that's it. Our interest rate is 4% or lower. We don't have service charges. We have a standard of 1 month term for every loan, 90-day grace period to pay and get back the collateral item. Villarica Pawnshop also conducts quarterly auction for the customers who wants to reacquire their items.
What challenges Villarica the most?
Competition with other pawn shops, especially Cebuana Luwilier.
What are your future plans?
We plan to expand our branches in areas like Visayas and Mindanao. We plan to have more exposure, that is why we choose Itbulaga as advertiser. We plan to extend our services rather than just being a pawn shop.
The reasons why customers come into a pawn shop are to borrow money, to secure a pawn loan, to sell personal property that they no longer wish to own, to purchase items that the pawnbroker has for sale. Working in a pawn shop is a continuous learning experience, and with this experience comes the ability to become an on-the-spot appraiser of sorts. Because there are so many different aspects of the industry, there is always more to learn in your career. The learning experience is real life, real people, and real examples to be studied. You gain considerable knowledge of people. Being a pawnbroker requires a considerable amount of compassion and understanding. The majority of shops are run and owned by families.
Take it slow, but it's not typical.